Can a studio really make an expose about itself? You're watching Beyond the Trailers review of Saving Mr. Banks.
I know what he's going to do to her. She'll be cavorting and twinkling.
You can't make the film unless you grant the rights.
Damn.
Now, let us begin.
Room here
She has a lot of ideas.
What kind of ideas?
Constable's responsible. Now, how does that sound?
No. Responsible is not a word.
We made it up.
Well, unmake it up.
It can easily be argued that Mary Poppins was the pinnacle of Walt Disney's illustrious career. He combined everything he'd learned since starting out with his Alice comedies, mixing live action with animation, animatronics, and timeless songs, to create the greatest family film of all time. Mary Poppins was nominated for 13 Academy Awards, more so than any other Disney film to date, and won 5, including Best Actress, Best Original Song, and Best Visual Effects. But like so many of Walt's successes, the initial idea was not his own. Mary Poppins sprung from the mind of P.L. Travers, who ironically was pretty much the anti-Disney. Travers was interested in quirky realism, more Roald Dahl than Disney, who was all about wholesome fantasy. But a quality Travers and Disney did share was a strong will, so naturally when they came together to try and adapt Mary Poppins for the big screen, it was an epic clash. Even more so, it got dirty, with Disney not inviting Travers to the film's premiere. Travers was so enraged by how Disney treated her and her novel that she refused to grant him the rights for any sequels despite several attempts on his part. And when Cameron Mackintosh did a staged version of the original film for the Disney Company years after Walt's death, Travers agreed with the stipulations that only UK-born writers could work on it and that no one from the film production could be directly involved, which meant the Sherman brothers were unable to contribute additional songs for this version. Now, the core of Saving Mr. Banks is how much Mary Poppins meant personally to both Disney and Travers. Indeed, the film also means a great deal to its millions of fans. As I noted in my earlier coverage of Saving Mr. Banks, Mary Poppins got my own father through a very difficult period in his life. He practically watched the film on an endless loop, and it was only when I grew up that I realized it was because he needed saving too. Many dads often do, as did Mr. Banks and Mr. Travers. So, are we finally getting a true mix of Disney and Travers? Or will Disney win out once again, with both Walt and Pamela no longer here to say otherwise? This movie is practically perfect in every way. Seriously, hands down, my favorite movie of the year. Just overshot everything else. And I have to say, earlier I had said that The Great Gatsby had made my top 3 list of all time, along with The Dark Knight and Rear Window. But now, sorry Gatsby, you're off. Saving Mr. Banks has to take that 3rd spot. It's just a truly phenomenal film. Now, as many of you know, I had a lot of problems with the trailer, and I still do, because the trailer and the whole marketing campaign for this film is very misleading. Disney is basically trying to sell this as a great family, light holiday film. Go see it on Christmas Day. Who doesn't love seeing Walt Disney, in Disneyland no less, making one of his most beloved films of all time? But I think a lot of people are going to be surprised with how much they're crying during this film. I would not actually recommend seeing this on Christmas Day, and it's not a family film. In fact, I would describe it as a darkly sophisticated Valentine to P.L. Travers, which is part of what makes it so touching, that the Disney studio would kind of right this wrong that had been done against her. And it's just so moving, the way the love that's given to P.L. Travers and the justice, that it's just really commendable that they would do that. I think that in itself deserves to be highlighted. Now, that being said, this movie doesn't vilify Disney either. It doesn't do a reverse of what apparently to some degree happened while making Mary Poppins. Instead, I think it's very fair to both parties. And it doesn't diss the original Mary Poppins movie. I think that movie needed to be what it was, although it's clear from this film that it has the depth that it has because of P.L. Travers' insistence. But I would describe the Walt Disney version of Mary Poppins as the family version, for all ages. And then you have Saving Mr. Banks, which I think is a great companion piece to that 1964 film, which is the adult version. This is for, clearly just adults. As I said, bring tissues. I was crying throughout the film, and I was crying even after the film, because it really touched me. It was a surprisingly human film, to a degree that you don't usually see in movies. And speaking of that, that's because it addresses something that I don't feel is really, addressed in entertainment or in general, and something that apparently the Mary Poppins original novel was supposed to touch upon, and they finally get it right here. And that's that being an adult and a parent is extremely difficult. And unfortunately, children, because of their closeness to their parents, get a front row seat to a lot of that pain. and how children process that, and how their relationship to their parents and their view of their parents evolves throughout their life. So if, you know, I think that that's going to really surprise a lot of people of how this movie just kind of reaches into your soul and touches you in a very unexpected way. It's almost even hard to talk about. I described it to some people yesterday after I saw the film as like, you know, when you have that moment, like you're just going along and something like just takes your breath away and just, you know, is so intensely and shockingly personal so quickly that it just catches you off guard. And it's really a personal moment. And that's how I would describe this movie. This isn't like, hey everybody, let's get in the car, get the kids in the car, let's go out and see Saving Mr. Banks, what fun. You know, this is not what this is about. This is almost a movie you want to see by yourself, so you can really take it in, because it's just that personal. And Emma Thompson, by the way, it is a shame, almost an injustice that she isn't the front runner for Best Actress. She is just, it's not only, I think, the best performance of the year, but one of the best performances of all time. She is just phenomenal. And this is her movie because this is a movie about P.L. Travers. Tom Hanks, he's being pushed for a supporting actor, you know, awards, and that's because he has very much of a supporting role. This is a movie about P.L. Travers. Don't think you're going to go in and find out anything really about Walt Disney, although it is a very honest look at him from, you know, as a businessman and a creator. So I think that this movie just really pulls off a difficult feat, and that it's able to be extremely respectful to the source material, it's able to be respectful to both Walt Disney and P.L. Travers, and to finally come full circle and do her side of the story justice. So it's great that we now have two films that, as I said, are a great set. You have Disney's version of this story, and you have Travers' version. You have one for children, and you have one for adults. And it's so rare in Hollywood, a town that is, you know, really cutthroat, to see someone. And I said Valentine, and I meant Valentine. To see a group of filmmakers, the screenwriters here, the director, I can't believe this is the guy who did The Rookie. Like, where was this ability back then? I mean, he's really grown leaps and bounds. And Emma Thompson and Tom Hanks and everyone involved at the Disney studio, to see them have put this much love and care and to do this for someone, for P.L. Travers, who had a very difficult life, is really just, it's just so incredibly touching. And it's just a wonderful film. And I think some people will feel it's too sad. Some people will feel it's, oh, isn't that sweet? Or they'll feel it's interesting. But I think for a number of people, I'm hoping it will be an intensely personal film that will be really something special. I loved it. Can't say enough good things about this movie. As I said, just like Mary Poppins, it's practically perfect in every way. So if you've seen Saving Mr. Banks, what camp did you fall into? Did you have as personal experience as I did? What do you think of the marketing? Do you think this movie is being marketed correctly? And do you agree with me that it's really just for adults, and, you know, or do you think maybe children would get something out of it? Write your thoughts down below. Thank you for tuning in for this review, and you can check out some more episodes right now.